Hello everyone, Sandrek here. So today I'm going to be talking about the Electro Traveler. Now of course, before you click away from this video thinking that the Traveler is going to be completely unusable, I just want to say one thing. That part is partially correct. The Traveler's damage is still going to be pretty underwhelming. However, the way they have designed around the Electro Traveler is going to make him one of the most powerful batteries in Genshin Impact. And the better news for the Electro Traveler is that because the way his kit or her kit is designed, he is going to be a universal battery for almost anyone, unlike someone like Fischl who only serves as a battery for most Electro characters, or someone like Diona who only serves as a battery for most Cryo characters, or so on. The Electro Traveler will be able to serve as your universal battery, which essentially means this opens the way up for a completely new way of team composition, where you are looking at just the Electro Traveler as the battery, one utility support, and two DPSs, or at least one DPS and one sub DPS, both of whom require high 80 to 70, 60 to 80 cost energy, and you're still able to pull this off together as a team because of the way Electro Traveler is going to be able to provide you with energy. Now the best thing about this is, in previous designs, they have tried to work Electro Traveler more as a sub DPS, looking at the Anemo, who is completely played as a sub DPS, and the Geo Traveler is almost also played as a sub DPS. You can only really play him or her as a support if you have Zhongli and essentially using the extra rocks to cause Geo resonance. Other than that, they are all played as sub DPS. However, because the Electro Traveler's damage is always underwhelming, the Traveler really never gets used in any team comps. However, in the Electro Traveler's case, what miHoYo has done, which is brilliant, is they completely disregarded the damage coming from the Electro Traveler. He or she will still do almost to no damage. However, that is okay because they focus so much on his or her support capability up to the point where it's like you're building an HP Zhongli. You don't care about the damage, all you care about is the shield. In this case, you don't care about damage, all you care about is energy recharge. So let's go through his or her kit very fast. I will not touch on normal attack at all because you probably will not be using that. Other than like you're at 99% energy, you need that last energy particle. Other than that, you won't be using the normal attack at all. However, the rest of his and her kit works so well together between the E, the Q, and all of their constellations. So let's go over the E quickly. The E is called Lightning Blade, unleashes 3 swift thunder shadows that deal electro damage to opponents and leave Abundance Amulet behind after hitting an opponent. Two Abundance Amulet can be created initially. Using the skill will reset any Abundance Amulet that was generated. So this is the main part to the Electro Traveler's energy recharge kit. Now of course, because with free to play you can get Electro Traveler up to C6, so I'll be also working in their constellations now instead of talking about constellations separately later. So there are two things to talk about during their constellation, that is C1 and C4. C1 increases the max number of amulets up to 3, which is a huge improvement because it's essentially increasing the energy recharge provided by E by 150%, or increased to 150%. And C4, when the active character's energy is below 35%, then the amulet's energy recharge, the energy it restores, is doubled, which is very helpful and effectively encouraging in a sort of gameplay style that is effectively just spamming Qs, which is very good because a lot of Inazuma characters, including, of course, I can't talk about the ones that haven't come, but Ayaka, both the Electro Traveler himself, and some of the future ones involve 80 cost energy for their ult and 20-second cooldown, and this will really help the Electro Traveler to be placed in a team with one or more of these 80 cost 20-second cooldown peoples, including Eula, who was just in the banner not long ago, and this will really help him shine as the universal battery for almost everyone, because it is going to be likely that at least during one of the recharges that they are going to be under 35% of 80, which is around 20 something, and at that point they'll get double the energy back instead of just 1 times. So effectively, without even doubling the energy particles regained, we're looking at 4 energy particles per every single amulet, which brings the total up to 12 energy particles. On top of that, having an absorbed by amulet increases the active character's energy recharge by 20%. So effectively, and that lasts for 6 seconds. So effectively, what you can do is you can absorb one amulet, then let the other 2 stay there. Comes back, wait for 6 seconds, then go back in again, and then do so 3 times. That will ensure you have a 20% energy recharge cover up at all times, while also you are absorbing these, which gives you even more energy particles. Now, a crazier thing on top of that is one of the Electro Traveler's passive is that 10% of the Electro Traveler's energy recharge will also be converted into this 20% and be added on top of that. So effectively, if you are looking at a 300% energy recharge Electro Traveler, which should be easy to achieve if you are only stacking energy recharge, and that is the case for the Electro Traveler, you pretty much don't care about anything other than energy recharge, and 300% I believe personally is achievable. And if that is the case, then you're effectively looking at 4 energy particles per 6 seconds. On top of that, you're looking at a constant 50% energy recharge increase. That is double the 2-piece effect of the new artifact set, and that is almost like an entire energy recharge goblet by itself, which is crazy. And the impact of these on characters like Eula, like Xiao, and Ayaka, all of whom have very high ultimate cost. In Xiao's case it's 70 of course, and in Eula and Ayaka's case it's 80. And effectively, for someone with an 80 energy requirement, you're effectively looking at that lowered to around 50 energy requirement, which is almost spammable because 40 energy ultimate characters like Zhongli and Ningguang can spam their ults rather easily. So with a little bit of energy recharge on those characters themselves, you're looking at very easily spammable energy recharges, given also the 20-second cooldown, which is rather long. Now let's move on to their Q. Their Q is called Bellowing Thunder. You can call upon the protection of lightning, knocking nearby opponents back and dealing electro damage to them. Now of course the damage numbers are okay here, however there's no need to look at that because the damage is not the main case here. The energy recharge is what we're after. So effectively, after you cast the Q, you will have 12 seconds of lightning shroud around you, and basically what happens is when your active character deals normal charge attack hits opponents, they will call upon the lightning, they will call upon falling lightning force dealing electro damage. Again, the damage part is not important. When the falling damage hits opponents, it will regenerate energy particles for that character. One instance of falling damage can be generated every 0.5 seconds. That is more frequent than Albedo's E. Even though this energy recharge itself cost 80 energy and 20-second cooldown like I've mentioned before, however, with the Electro Traveler being a battery himself or herself, it is likely that he or she will be able to cast this every 20 seconds pretty much guaranteed, because on top of that you're stacking a ton of energy recharge on the Electro Traveler anyway. And a bonus effect on C6, of course we won't be able to get that this time. This patch, however, I believe in a future patch, at least before the end of the year, we're definitely going to have all the Inazuma unlocked, which means by that time the Electro Traveler should be C6able. At C6, every second time the falling lightning hits opponent, it will deal the third strike will deal 100% additional damage. Again, that is not important. However, the third strike will recover 1 extra energy particles. So effectively, we are looking at, for Q, we're looking at 8 energy particles if you have C6. For E, we're looking at 12 energy particles and at least 20% of energy recharge buff, up to 18 seconds. And on top of that, we're still looking at 30% energy recharge buff if you have the Electro Traveler up to 300% energy recharge. So all of that added together, this makes the Electro Traveler pretty much the best battery in game so far. Now the good thing about all of this is that you don't really need to build the Electro Traveler too much. He's gonna be one of those people that you can put all your bad artifacts onto, because all he needs is energy recharge. You don't care about attack, you don't care if he rolls into defense, you don't care if he rolls into HP. All he needs is pretty good rolled AR pieces on every single one of his pieces, and also I believe the new artifact set, at least the 2-piece, will be very usable on him. So overall, it will be very easy it will be not too difficult for him to stack over 300% energy recharge. And if that happens, you're pretty much looking at around 50% energy recharge on your active character at pretty much all times. So with that said, for simplicity's sake, I just still want to go over the rest of his passives and constellations just because I've kind of talked about with the focus on his E and Q. So for his two passives, the first one is Thunder Flash. When another nearby character in the party obtains an abundance amulet created by the Lightning Blade's CD decreases by 1.5 seconds. That is his E, or her E. If you're wondering, Lightning Blade is his or her E. So in this case, it effectively allows you to cast that more frequently, and it allows you to pick up the absorption speed of his abundance amulet, which increases his energy recharge passively. For his second passive, increases the energy recharge effect granted by the Lightning Blade's abundance amulet by 10% of the traveler's energy recharge. Now I've already talked about this. If you stack up to 300% energy recharge, then it effectively means a 30% energy recharge transfer onto the active character. Now let's quickly go over the constellations. Again, practically speaking, I'm probably looking at around a C3 traveler at best for the opening of Inazuma in patch 2.0. However, before the end of the year, we can definitely C6 the traveler. So for his C1, the number of abundance amulet can be generated using Lightning Blade is increased to 3. Again, which is effectively a 50% increase in his E in terms of energy recharge. C2, when Falling Thunder created by Bellowing Thunder hits an opponent, there you'll decrease their Electro Res by 15% for 8 seconds. This is primarily useful on Electro Team builds where the Electro Traveler is supporting an Electro DPS, in this case Kachin Beidou or DPS Official if you're really into that. Then in this case those will be helpful, and probably it will support Bao in the future. We don't know anything regarding Bao's kit yet. But this is not very useful if the Electro Traveler is acting as a universal battery, so which is why I did not mention about this constellation earlier. C3 and C5 are increasing the level of Q and E respectively, which is expected because E is the more important skill here. Q is more for applying Electro, and overall Q covers less energy recharge than E, so it makes sense for them to put E second and Q first. C4. After a character obtains abundance amulet granted by the Lightning Blade, if the character's energy is below 35%, the energy restored by the abundance amulet is increased by 100%. This is very useful. It effectively doubles the energy particles received from 4 to 8 if you are looking at an character's energy that is below 35%. And for even the highest energy cost of 80, this is effectively 10% of their energy recharge in a single abundance amulet. And this also kind of adds another 50% onto the effectiveness of the MC's E in terms of energy recharge. C6, every second Falling Thunder attacks triggered by the Bellowing Thunder will increase the damage dealt by the third one by 100%. It will also restore an additional energy to the current character. Again, this one is more useful for the energy recharge. However, the Electro Traveler does scale off attack him or herself, so if you do manage to hit a decent crit rate and attack, which you don't need to, again, energy recharge is the key here. However, if you do happen to have insane artifact that allows you to both build on energy recharge while also having a decent crit and attack, then this is a nice damage boost on top of that. So overall, I believe that the Electro Traveler's way of setting up is very interesting in the sense that the Electro Traveler is serving purely as a battery, so he or she will have almost zero damage dealing to enemies. However, at the same time, I really like the idea of MiHoYo completely abandoning the idea of building Electro Traveler as a sub DPS, because let's be honest, even though he or she is a 5-star, from the previous two versions, the Geo and Anemo Traveler, their performance has been always at a sub 4-star level. Like, it's around Amber level, if that makes sense. No offense to Amber mains. However, this time they completely disregarded his or her damage. Instead, everything is focused on how they can use him or her as a useful key piece to fit the rest of the team together, and I believe this also allowed the Electro Traveler to bring out a completely new type of team style comp where you're looking at one utility support, one energy recharge support, in this case the Electro Traveler, and two main DPS, both with 80 energy cost that can dish out a massive amount of damage. Now previously this comp would have been very hard to approach, because what you would have to do is you would have to bring one battery for each of the two DPSs, and I believe with the Electro Traveler this kind of solves the problem, because he or she will act as your main battery for the entire team. Now finally, I just want to quickly go over who I think will be the biggest benefiter of the Electro Traveler. The first one I'm looking at is of course Eula. Now for Eula's case, if you're going with a super conduct comp, the team that you generally want to bring is either Fischl or Beidou as the as the battery. However, the previous problem with Fischl is that Fischl applies Electro too fast, which causes the character to be electro affected at all times, which means you can't really get the cryo benefits from the crit rate of having two cryo characters. On top of that, if you're bringing Beidou as a battery, you need Fischl as the battery for Beidou, which makes double electro comps kind of forced on Eula. Now with the Electro Traveler, Eula not only can apply super conduct with the Electro Traveler, however the Electro Traveler can effectively control the rate at which he or she is applying Electro, up to the point where if you do want to put two cryo characters on Eula's team just for that 20% crit increase, then you are still able to get that. And on top of that, this kit works perfectly into Eula's Q, so it basically makes her Q spammable. The other two benefiters of this will definitely be Ayaka and Xiao, and of course it is to do something to do with their high energy cost. In Xiao's case it's 70, in Ayaka's case it's 80, and again this all thanks to the fact that the Electro Traveler is going to be an universal battery for pretty much any DPSs in the future. And also if any DPSs that come in the future with 80 energy cost and 20 cooldown, then this could be very useful for anyone else in the future. So that is all the information I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. Thank you and have a nice day.